So welcome back to another video, and today we've got a really cool video that I had so much pleasure and in putting together, because I learned so much and it was a great insight for me to include in my own art and to include in my own projects, that I decided, man, I need to share this with people. So today, as you might have seen by the title, I'm going to be talking about the work or the art of Carrie Mae Weems. So what you're going to be seeing pretty much is her take or the main ideas that she has on her work, and also I'm going to include my perspective over her work. And my perspective is that her work is probably the best, or one of the best representations of life through photography. So yeah, I mean, I think this says it all. Grab a drink, whatever it is, grab your favorite pet if that makes you feel comfortable. Just the main idea is feel comfortable, and let's go straight into the video.
Without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Blue moon, you knew just what I was there for. You heard me sing a prayer for.
Carrie Mae Weems was born in Portland, Oregon, and throughout her life she has developed an impressive career both as a student and teacher of arts at prestigious universities. And as an artist, she developed works using different mediums such as photography, short films, video installations, fabric and text. However, today we're going to be solely concentrating on her photography. And at the start of her career, she began by capturing subjects that were close to her, such as members of her family, and created a series titled Family Pictures and Stories, which she worked on between 1981 and 1982. Which was inspired by Zora Neale Hurston's writing and by the work of Langston Hughes and Roy de Carava and his pictures of Ireland. And these images are in a very simple way showing us the deep connection between African American communities and the idea of a strong family bond. And in this early stage of her career, which we can pinpoint as happening along the 1980s, she also focused mainly on issues that African Americans face, such as racism, sexism, political views, and questions over personal identity. However, as her career developed, she added that more than the Black experience, her main subject is, quote, the rather complex, dimensional human experience and social inclusion. And I come across this idea of a rather complex or more broader sense of social inclusion going past the Black experience, especially after the 1990s, where in the 1990s, well, let's say 1990, she released a series of photos called Kitchen Table Series. And these are very simple tableau vivant, if you want to put it this way, in which she mimics life itself. And it's such a great take on life, because if you look at the, well, technically speaking, if you look at the right side of the photo, you might have something that might tell you about the most or broader social problems such as discrimination or something like that. And then on the right side of the picture, you have something so small as the relationship between a mother and her daughter, or the importance of a certain object in our lives, or the details of life. So in the whole picture you have life itself, which I think that you can still look at it and find meaning and more meaning. And this is probably this is when you know that something is so great that you can still look back at it and find more and more meaning. And this is all connected to life, and what I call, or what I said in the beginning, was the perfect representation of life. Kitchen Table Series combines the use of text and image to touch the very essence of life and what it means to be human. The central character of this series is the artist herself, which takes on a role of a strong woman, which she described as having, quote, bodacious manners, various talents, hard laughter, and multiple opinions. And as we as spectators sit across the table, we're in a way forced to embrace and observe what is going on. It's like we're just having that quiet moment at the kitchen table that we've had so many times before in our own environments. It's like we're watching the small moments and communications that happen within our own circle, but in a way we're forced to encounter and question ideas such as family dynamics, relationship dynamics, ideas of monogamy, the male and the female role in a relationship, in the household, ideas of intimacy, of miscommunication, misrepresentation, loneliness, self-expression, self-worth, and self-growth. So it's safe to say that Carrie Mae Weems' photography is something that goes beyond the photo itself. It's about storytelling because she was responsible in a way for creating new narratives and images revolving around women, people of color and working class communities, which is something that at the time was still hidden from the mainstream public eye. And in my opinion, Carrie Mae Weems is one of the most touching and most powerful bodies of work that I've ever seen, because her photography is very compelling to the point that resets our expectations as viewers, because we're not just viewers, we're in it as well. We're participant in a way. We're challenged by what we see about our assumptions of life, of who we are, even if we're not African Americans, and I'm not African American, but her work has taught me a lot about being human, and at the end of the day, that's what we all are. Now, because I have a background in theatre and film, I couldn't ignore this sort of theory that came up in my head that is related with how her photography can be so effective. And to me, her photography is very effective, and in my mind, I connected a lot with the Brechtian theatre. Now, I'm not sure if you know who Bertolt Brecht is, or Bertolt Brecht. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but I think by my videos, you've seen that I'm not very good at pronouncing people's names, so I'm sorry if I've offended anyone during my videos, but the main idea is that by telling you this theory I have, I might also be letting you know some interesting tips for you to include in your own photography if you start looking at the Brechtian theatre, and maybe transport some ideas of that into your photography and make it probably more effective on what you want to say with your photography. So from the beginning to the mid-20th century, this German poet, playwright and dramatist named Bertolt Brecht developed the concept of epic theatre. Now, we're not going to dive deep into this because it's a rather extensive and complex thing to talk about, but basically his concept of theatre was a kind of storytelling that promoted a critical view of the action on stage, making the audience part of the play in a way that they were forced to do some self-reflection, to decode and confront what was going on stage. And he used techniques and ideas that would help to represent reality instead of creating the play's own world or reality. This was achieved by a minimal set where everything is simple and representational, symbolic props which can acquire a variety of meanings throughout the play, simple lighting, and most often than not, a harsh white light, as this illuminated the truth. And I wanted to tell you to dive deep into her work, but also into her words, because I'm going to be linking down below a lot of interviews that she did, over the years, and I highly recommend you to read because she has a lot of concepts, a lot of inspirational thoughts that you can include in your either personal life or professional life and kind of do a personal growth, because I feel that she's a really inspiring person, and one of the reasons why I definitely wanted to make this video, because I feel that I have gained so much through going through her work that I not only wanted to have that personal gain myself, but also give that to you. And she tackles everything in her interviews, from artists that she met, from relationships, from the ideas of femininity, masculinity, but also ideas to what she's currently working on. For instance, I read recently that she's working on the idea of a representation of the woman artist and how it can be a sort of marginalization when you quote somebody or you put somebody as a woman artist or a black artist. And so it's interesting to see those ideas, and it's interesting to see how this comes together, especially because this reminded me of a quote by painter Georgia O'Keeffe, and she said something along the lines of, "Men put me as the best woman painter, I think she said. And then she goes and says, but I believe that I'm one of the best painters. And this is the idea that I want to also pass with this channel, which is we are photographers despite of who we are, where we come from, what's our background. And I know that I have two series in my channel, one for female film photographers and one more general or broader sense of film photographers you should know. But I just wanted to say that I created the female film photographers series because I wanted a space where I could just highlight the amount of work and amount of effort that a lot of women had through history that were kind of made me able today to pick up the camera, pick up the whatever medium I choose, if it is a paintbrush or if it is a pen, and just go without second thoughts or prejudice or what would people think of me or what do I consider myself, and just go and do my thing. So there was a space created just for that, and because the other series was a much older series and had like a mix of female and male photographers, I decided to create this space just for that. So yeah, disclaimers aside and all of that, I hope that you take a lot from this video as I've taken, and that you have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and I'll see you here for another video very soon.
Without a love of my own, there suddenly appeared before me the only one my heart could ever hold. I heard somebody whisper, please adore